I'm really honored to welcome all our dignitaries and all the participants in the audience to this high-level event on the tripling of renewable energy global pledge at the COP28. This is being co-hosted by the COP28, by the Global Renewables Alliance, and by IRENA. It has been really and truly a momentous day for us. And I can tell you from experience that this year we have been working very hard to make this day happen. And the fact that we had almost 117 countries that signed up to the Global Renewables Pledge for tripling of renewables and doubling of energy efficiency, it gives us great pleasure because it's a kind of a fruition of all the effort that went in. I'd definitely like to start off the event today. And first of all, I'd like to invite Engineer Sharif Al-Ulama, Undersecretary for Energy and Petroleum Affairs at the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure in the United Arab Emirates, to give his opening remarks.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. First of all, let me start off by apologizing. I was a few minutes late. There was a lot of traffic outside. So, Excellencies, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today, signaling our collective dedication to a sustainable future. As we gather, post the successful launch of the Global Renewables and Energy Efficiency Pledge, endorsed by over 110 countries, we stand at a pivotal moment. The UAE, as your host, is both honored and committed to leading this transformative journey collectively. Our sector is at the forefront of combating climate change. Our role is not just vital, it is transformative. COP28, a significant milestone in our shared climate journey, demands more than acknowledgement of progress. It demands urgent and decisive action to meet the Paris Agreement goals. The science presents itself. It is a pressing reality. We are veering off course. The 1.5 degree limit is slipping away, urging us to recalibrate our path urgently. Inaction is a luxury we cannot afford. With global temperatures on the rise, the repercussions and obvious rising extreme weather events and impacting millions. Over the next 2 weeks, we must transition from agreeing on problems to implementing solutions. Our 4-point action plan includes emphasizing equitable energy transitions, fixing climate finance, prioritizing human well-being, and fostering inclusivity. Tripling our renewable energy capacity to a minimum of 11,000 gigawatts and intensifying our energy efficiency improvements by 2030 is our starting point. With the power sector responsible for the majority of global emissions, reducing these is critical for the 1.5 degree goal to be achievable. The World Energy Transitions Outlook report by IRENA is our roadmap, stressing the need for escalated and a collective action within this decade. Our united response in building the future energy system is pivotal. While national circumstances vary, every country can yield positive outcomes through enhanced energy efficiency and renewable energy expansion. Addressing challenges such as accessible financing, especially in developing countries, strengthening infrastructure, expediting permits, building resilient supply chains, and incentivizing investment is crucial. In line with this global initiative, the updated UAE Energy Strategy 2050 outlines a long-term national program to balance meeting the rising energy demand and sustaining natural resources for generations to come. In the first phase, which runs till 2030, the UAE will triple the contribution of renewable energy, invest somewhere in the range between 150 to 200 billion UAE dirhams by the year 2030, increase individual and institutional energy consumption efficiency by 42 to 45%, drive R&D and innovation in energy technologies, and encourage investments in the country's renewable and clean energy sector. Success hinges on collaboration and substantial investments. COP28's spirit of inclusivity underscores that this is a universal challenge, needing a universal solution. No one can be left behind. Inclusion is a key, not just for our action plan success, but for the various benefits of renewable energy, environmental, societal, economic, health, and security. It is essential that we work together to ensure that clean power becomes the most affordable, accessible, and attractive option for all countries to meet their power needs efficiently by the year 2030. We must harness the synergies between governmental initiatives and private sector innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, today was a milestone in our collective commitment to accelerate a just energy transition. Your commitment is the catalyst for change. In conclusion, our opportunity is now. It's time for unity. It's time for action. And it's time for inclusivity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Engineer Sharif Al-Ulama. It's been a pleasure, Excellency, to hear you, and I think from all our behalf, I'd like to congratulate the leadership of the COP presidency in getting us to this day. I've been told that the Director General for Energy, European Commission, Excellency Dieter Jorgensen's on her way, but in the meantime, I would request the Director General of the International Renewable Energy Agency, Francesco La Camera, to please come and deliver a scene-setting address.
So thank you very much for being here. Excellencies, now I will not call you anymore Excellencies, I will call you friends. Okay? I think it's the best way to start. And what incredible start for this COP28. I think we have to register how for the first time there were not long discussion on adopting the agenda that was so usual in our world. And in the first day, the loss damage that was there from more than a decade to be conceptualized, put in place, has been agreed. So really a fantastic start. And also on the triple, seeing that now 818 countries, because Mexico joined the last minute, I think is absolutely unbelievable. And I have to also to express to you my, my satisfaction, I don't know how to say in English, but very proud that we have put in place this machinery when, as in 2021, ARENA came from asking for the triple of installer capacity. And 2021, if we started in 2021, we had to install supposed to start to install 800 gigawatts to be in line with the achievement of Paris Agreement goals. We wait 3 years, now we need 1,000. If we don't start now, we will need 1,200. And then at a certain moment, we have to abandon the dream to be in a pathway that is consistent with the achievement of the Paris Agreement goal. So it's really with satisfaction that our analysis is becoming mainstream. So now everyone is calling for the triple, and it's something that no one could believe 3 years ago when we started working on this. But there is today, I wish to register another, how to say, amazing result of our work. We have been working with Ali in the last 6 months, with Germany, with Denmark, to build an initiative that could be a game changer in Africa. And this made possible under the leadership of President Ruto to have, in our point of view, an historical climate summit in Nairobi. I think, I have said this morning, I will repeat now, that has been the most relevant milestone in the pathway to the COP28. It shows a different image of Africa. Not the country that was still thinking that fossil fuel could be a transition solution, but a continent that believe that they have the resources, they have the capacity for going faster for renewables, so becoming a land of opportunities for their own people and also for the world. Africa is the most important powerhouse for greenhouse hydrogen in the world. They have to take profit of this, and we have to take profit of that. So I really wish I did this morning, and I really wish him for his leadership. It was absolutely amazing. And what is APRA important? Because it's opening another way to work with Africa. So what we are thinking, and we are trying, who are working in the negotiation, please take care of this. One thing is that we have to pledge for the triple. But the problem is how. So why we have not been enough fast in the last years? Because everyone now agrees that renewables are the cheapest way to produce electricity. The cleanest. The one that is more socially acceptable because it creates job. Good job, better job, and job for the women. So why we are progressing but not at the speed needed? Because we have some impeding barrier. Infrastructure. How Africa can profit of its potential if the infrastructure are not there? How we can accelerate if the legal environment is still serving the old system, not the new one that is coming? How we can do if policies not create demand for hydrogen, for clean energy? We have to switch and create the policy that is needed to do this possible. And the institutional capacity, we have to work on that. And skills should be there. So it's important that we may come from this stock-take exercise to call also for a change of the narrative, put in the right priorities, and make clear that we have to overcome these barriers if we want to speed up and scale up our transition. Another success that I want to show is ITAF. Today I signed with Islamic Development Bank with the Islamic Credit and Insurance for Foreign Investment. Before we leave this site, we will have 5 billion of commitment, and these commitments come from the financial institutions. We have the project. We can build together with the country the plan. We can make the difference. And this is another success that I wish to register. And in closing, I may thank many of you, and I'm so happy to see Tariq again and with us in this endeavor. He has been relevant and crucial in negotiating the Paris Agreement. So it's very good to have him back with us. And I also want to thank the leadership of Bruce. You know, it was not easy for the private companies believe that this was the way. He has been the one that has understood that the difference was there, and so we can enjoy this pavilion where we can be the house of renewables, we can be the house of the energy transition based on clean energy. My friends, trying to work, who are the negotiators, push for having more coming from this COP. Be strong.
Thank you, Francesco, and it's my pleasure to welcome Excellency Dite Jorgensen, the Director General for Energy in the European Commission. She has been so inspiring and has really inspired us to do the extra mile as EU championed the whole cause of tripling of renewables.
Thank you very much, Gauri. Good afternoon, everyone, colleagues and friends. Today is a day of celebration. Just now, leaders met and 118 countries, 118 leaders came together to launch officially this global pledge for a tripling of renewables and doubling of energy efficiency improvements between now and 2030. That in itself is an amazing achievement, and I really would like to start by congratulating everyone here who has been working for this over the last months. Please. The idea of the pledge was put forward by President Ursula von der Leyen of the European Commission in April this year at the Major Economies Forum, drawing on the solid and useful analysis of IRENA and all the work that has gone into that by Francesco La Camera and his excellent team here. So I would like to thank him and his team, and I would like to thank also, of course, Minister Al-Masrei and the UAE COP presidency for the partnership, the leadership, all the joint work that has gone into making this initiative the success that it is today with the launch with 118 countries on board. The launch is a collective success. Many have worked to make that happen, but this is just the beginning, because now we need to implement. Now we need to make this happen by 2030. We're not on track for the 1.5 degrees that we have agreed in Paris. What we can see in the global stocktake is that we are off track. We need to take more action. We need to step up our ambition and make things happen. And we know what we need to do. We have the technology to do it. We know that we need to increase and accelerate the rollout of renewable energy, triple by 2030, which will bring an additional 11 terawatt of renewable energy onto global markets. And we know that we need to make better use of the energy we have. We need to double energy efficiency by the end of this decade, in 7 years. So there's time to do it, but it requires us to act right now, right here in Dubai at COP28. So we from the European Union very much hope that this will be reflected in the negotiated outcome at COP28 in the mitigation track, together, of course, with the objective of phasing out fossil fuels in a timely manner, consistent with the Paris Agreement. This tripling of renewables and doubling of energy efficiency brings many benefits. In addition to the climate benefit, the lowering of greenhouse gas emissions, it brings cleaner air, it brings a lot of good jobs in the green sector, it lowers CO2, and it helps countries attract investment, creating jobs, and creating local energy in those parts of the world that do not currently have access to clean cooking or clean energy, because renewables allow for small, local, off-grid solutions. So we need to make that happen. We need now to make use of this signal to investors, to manufacturers, to project developers, to go ahead and accelerate, invest in manufacturing, invest in projects, develop and invest in our grids, and adapt to the new electricity system, the electricity system with much higher shares of renewable, with all the benefits and challenges as well that that gives. We need all of us to improve our policies to help the acceleration. We need to make sure that permitting goes faster. We need to engage with our public so we have a genuine debate about what does it mean with renewables and how do we make it happen also in my backyard. So we need to make sure we consult, we engage. We need to bring capital and investments into the market where this capital and this investment is needed, especially in developing countries. So I am very proud that we have been able to announce from the European Union today, my President Ursula von der Leyen has just announced $2.3 billion euro over the coming 2 years going into renewable energy and energy efficiency in developing countries. And we hope that that can bring more to join, be an incentive for others to join, so that we bring the investment and the financing and the support for the rollout of renewables and energy efficiency across the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And perhaps this is the moment all of us are really waiting for, to hear Excellency President William Ruto, President of Kenya. I think, your words inspire us to do much more. And it's really a pleasure on behalf of the partners in this pavilion, which is the Global Renewables Alliance and ARENA, to welcome you for your remarks.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, friends, this is a very important evening because we are having a conversation that is going to change the destiny of many countries, if not the destiny of humanity. We got ourselves into the climate crisis mess because of energy. We're going to pull ourselves out again because of energy. We got ourselves into trouble with greenhouse gases emissions, climate warming, which we are now told is climate boiling, or global warming, which now is global boiling, because of fossil fuels and coal. The good part of it is that we're going to get ourselves out of this climate crisis by investing in a different form of energy. This is renewable energy. We met in Nairobi in September this year as leaders from the African continent, and we took the position that we need to increase renewable energy in Africa from 56,000 gigawatts to 300, from 56 gigawatts to 300 gigawatts. That's roughly about 5 times. So as we have a conversation about tripling, Africa is having a conversation about increasing it 5 times. I would encourage those who have a problem with signing into tripling to consider increasing it 5 times. Maybe that would be a better conversation, at least by us. Even though we have contributed the least to where we have this challenge today, this is not the moment to apportion blame. This is a moment to build a coalition and an alliance to help us get ourselves out of the challenge that we face. We're all aware that even though we have huge ambition, we are limited by very many hurdles along the way. We have huge challenges about the risk profile we have in our continent. We have difficulties with raising financing. We have difficulties with market. We have difficulties with anchor demand. You will ask yourself, possibly, how does a continent with 600 people who have no access to electricity, yet we have 60% of the world's renewable potential? Why does a continent that has 60% of the world's renewable energy have 600 million of its, almost half of our population, without electricity? How is it the case that 1 billion Africans have no access to clean cooking? and we still lose many people because of pollution that comes from cooking. And that is why we are pushing as a continent for a redesign, re-engineering, reform of the international financial architecture so that it can respond to the challenge of our time. We appreciate that the Bretton Woods institutions were set up for a different time, for a different purpose, in different circumstances. Where we are today, they are not fit for purpose. And that is why we believe that it is necessary for us to have a conversation that will allow for the tripling of renewable energy by making sure that there are resources that will de-risk this investment, and there are adequate resources that will make it possible to invest in tripling renewable energy, not just in our continent, but globally. We are very happy that the conversation about the reform of the international financial architecture is now underway. There is now almost a convergence of thoughts that indeed the financial system we have today is not fit for purpose. We need a financial architecture that will give us additional concessional resources, that will be sensitive and de-risk unnecessary risk profiling of certain parts of the world, that has serious considerations about liquidity, and that understands that this is not a problem of a region or a section of society. This is a challenge that faces us as humanity. And the second aspect that I am very happy about as a conversation in this COP is that finally we seem to come round about having a conversation about carbon pricing and carbon tax. I mean, finally, we are having this conversation. Europe was slightly ahead of us. I mean, Europe are already considering a financial transaction tax that will go into funding space around renewable energy. Finally, we have a conversation here in Dubai, a place where many people would think this conversation would be difficult because Dubai is one of the largest emitters. But they too understand that this is not a conversation we can avoid. In fact, I must congratulate the UAE for stepping forward and being part of the conversation and making significant contribution positively on matters to do with renewable energy. In fact, when I was asked a question how the chairman of my good friend Sultan, how he could possibly be the chair of COP, and I said, I mean, UAE has demonstrated that though this is where they are, they know where the future is, and they are positively investing in that future. And I think this is where we want to take this conversation. Finally, we are having a conversation about how do we raise new sources of revenue for climate action? Where are we going to find new sources of money, of financing, of investment to finance climate action, to finance renewable energy? And we are all having a meeting of minds that indeed carbon tax is a consideration. It is no longer going to be business as usual. It is time that big corporates who raise huge billions of dollars from fossil fuel consider part of that being taxed so that we can raise the money for renewable energy investment. It is time that we consider marine, that we consider air travel as some of the areas that we can have tax and raise revenue for investment in renewable energy. Nobody said that it was going to be easy. Nobody said it was going to happen in a flash. Nobody says it was going to be cheap. But everybody knows that it is the right thing to do. And we can never be wrong by doing the right thing. The right thing is to invest in renewable energy. And that is why we are sitting here. So let me join. I hope the 118 includes Kenya. If it doesn't, I am told it already our signature is in. So, and I hope we will persuade the rest of the globe to make sure that we are all moving in the same direction. And I want to promise you that this is a moment for the continent that I come from, where we have the largest renewable energy, the largest uncultivated arable land, the largest minerals that are even necessary for this energy transition. That is the continent of the moment. And we just signed off this afternoon. We just signed $4 billion worth of investments in renewable energy, just this afternoon, because that is the new direction. And we are getting round. People are beginning to understand. Companies are beginning to see the opportunity. We made the decision in the Africa Climate Summit that we are going to have a new narrative for Africa, that we are not going to be the old continent of problems, poverty, conflict, disease. We are going to be a continent of opportunity, potential, and investment. And slowly, the world is coming around to realize that we have real investable business case opportunities in renewable energy, whether we are talking about solar panel manufacture using renewable energy, data center investments using renewable energy, EV investments using renewable energy, leather using renewable energy. The whole of that space is the space we are having a conversation about. And we are looking at Europe and others having a conversation with us about market. We want to see, we have been very faithful purchasers of finished products from everywhere else. I think it's time you also give us market for green products from Africa. I think it's time. We are going to be processing. We will not be sending iron ore to Europe anymore. We will be sending green steel. We will not be sending bauxite anymore to China. We will be sending green aluminum. That is the new conversation we want to have. And I want to tell you it's going to happen in our lifetime. Many people don't believe it, but I believe it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for inspiring us, putting in perspective the difficult conversations that this COP and beyond will need to take, and also pointing out to us about the future conversations that need to take place to take us into this new energy future. It's my pleasure now to invite the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Excellency Russell Dlamini.
Excellencies, distinguished delegates, good afternoon. Should be good evening, actually. The Kingdom of Eswatini is delighted to discuss actions for translating the pledge for tripling renewable energy and energy efficiency into concrete set of implementation measures by 2030. The implementation of this pledge will contribute to bringing the world back on track towards the 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway. It will also accelerate the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, in particular, goal number 7. The task ahead of us is enormous as we embark on various programs to save the planet from our harmful activities. We all have to take the necessary action. Government, the private sector, financiers, and civil society. Your Excellencies, there is need for the development of critical infrastructure as a key driver towards upscaling renewable energy. Africa, for instance, is endowed with renewable energy sources such as hydro, biomass, solar, wind, and even geothermal. However, the biggest challenges are centered around financial and technical limitations to fully harness these resources. This therefore calls for a review or development of framework agreements that enable ease of access to concessional funding. We are grateful to the International Renewable Energy Agency and Atomic Energy Agency who have supported Eswatini in developing and implementing our energy plans, such as the National Energy Master Plan. And we further request for collaboration and support, particularly in capacity development and finance. We need to enhance and upscale new technological solutions through research, development, and innovation to address issues of variability and grid stability. The nationally determined contributions and disease form part of our response to the call for change. As a nation, our priority is on accelerating the development of green projects in line with the pledge. Your Excellencies, the environment for public-private partnerships must be supported by robust policies to enable acceleration of the transition. Eswatini imports 75% of its electricity demand, and the balance is generated locally using 100% renewable energy resources. Eswatini is working on increasing local generation from renewable energy resources to meet at least 75% of the country's demand. An indicative investment needed to deliver the renewable energy projects is US $350 million. As we transition, it is equally important to upgrade the infrastructure to be climate resilient and to handle the integration of renewables, which will require further investment. Furthermore, Eswatini has recognized the need for regulatory certainty to accelerate investment in renewable energy capacity and has recently developed regulatory frameworks to support private sector participation. These include the framework to allow bidirectional power transactions for small-scale renewable sources, as well as framework to allow power wheeling through the national grid. Off-grid solutions such as solar home systems and mini-grids are being implemented to increase the access rate from 82% to achieve universal access by 2030. Your Excellencies, as I conclude, I request that the discussion on the pledge should not end today and that we will need to monitor progress, assist each other where practically possible as we implement our respective programs, realizing that we are at different levels of development and are faced with different national circumstances. Your Excellencies, I thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for sharing the very ambitious roadmap that Eswatini has, and also calling on the international community for collaboration and cooperation. It's my pleasure now to invite the Minister for Energy and Water Resources, Tajikistan, His Excellency Daler Yuma.
Excellencies, dear colleagues, participants, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, the friends of the renewable energy. It's my great pleasure to honor to be with all of you today and to talk about renewable energy and energy efficiency, something which defines our future, but it's also critical to saving our fragile collective home, our blue planet. We know today that climate change is accelerating, and unless we take decisive actions, the devastating impact of the climate change poses the risk to the very existence of life as we know it. We also know that the greenhouse gas emissions are one of the main drivers of the climate change across the globe. Our dependency on burning fossil fuel to meet our energy needs and power our development is something that is contributing to the worsening of the impact of climate change. According to the United Nations recent findings, fossil fuel, coal, oil, and gas are by far the largest contributor to global climate change, accounting for over 75% of global greenhouse gas emissions and nearly 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions. Yet we have immediate alternatives to reduce our dependency on fossil fuel, and fully agree with my colleagues of UAE, the way how it's positioned. We are in a stage of transition, energy transition. Our renewable energy resources, which is fully developed and utilized, can mitigate the impact of climate change without disrupting growth. Given this, the use of renewable resources and the introduction of energy efficiencies are two important areas at the global level, ensuring the production of affordable and environmentally friendly energy to power our growth. And hydropower is one of the most effective renewable energy resources, which enables us to reduce emission and preserve hydrocarbon fuel reserves for future generations. In addition to generation energy, hydropower also enables us to address the growing impact of climate change by regulating river flows, which allows us to better manage and mitigate floods, develop navigations, and ensure sustainable water supply for the development of our key economic sectors. In Tajikistan, a nation blessed with abundances of water resources, we have managed to harvest these resources to provide green energy for our development sector as well as for the region of Central and South Asia. Our nation's development of hydropower resources has also helped make a significant contribution to solving water and energy issues in the region and achieving climate sustainability not only in Tajikistan but also in the countries of the Aral Sea Basin. Tajikistan's annual potential hydro potential amount to 527 billion kilowatt hours, which exceeds 1.5 times the current electricity needs of all countries of the Central Asian region. Unfortunately, given the meager available funding for our limited resources, this vast renewable energy potential is currently used at only up to 5%. In spite of this, we will achieve our target of reducing the current rate of 0.03% of greenhouse gas emission through development of our hydropower resources and ensuring the energy efficiency in our key economic sectors down to zero by 2050. Tajikistan is one of the few countries where the renewable energy makes 98% of the energy mix. We're very close to the 100%, and I absolutely fully support what Mr. President has been talking about, the tripling. Well, we'll be at the 100% very shortly, but we are also joining this statements and actually commitment from the Mr. President. And actually, we would also happy to help other countries to achieve this ambitious, but I think doable goals. Tajikistan now plans to triple its renewable energy capacity, dominated by hydropower by the time that has been set in the pledge. In view of this strategy, we are in the process of adapting the master plan for development of the power sector, which not only includes increment of renewable generation capacity, but improving the energy efficiencies. Here also by triple, not twice, not doubling it. And, but improving the energy efficiency in all intensively energy consumption sectors such as agriculture, industry, and construction. The completion of the constructions of the Rogun hydropower plant alone, which has the capacity of over 3,700 megawatts of green energy, along with the fact that it will promote sustainable irrigation of more than 3 million hectares of land in the Amu Darya basin in dry areas, will catalyze the regional market for the accelerating green energy transmission in a fossil fuel-dominated regions of Central Asia and South Asia. That project as such is cost $6.2 billion, but we as a country, Tajikistan, are committed to invest with the partnership with our development partners up to $10 billion by 2030. Tajikistan is the first country in the world to implement a new standard for sustainable development of hydropower during the implementation of one of its ongoing hydropower development projects called the Sebzor Hydropower Plant Project. We intended to take this experience into account as we are implementing ongoing and potential hydropower projects in the country. The hydropower sustainability standard is a comprehensive, robust, and transparent methodology for assessing the sustainability of the hydropower projects and aims to create a world where sustainable hydropower is the norm. Given the fact that Tajikistan is one of the most vulnerable nations to the impact of the climate change, our government remains resolute in using the benefits of the developing hydropower potential and other renewable energy sources for sustainable development. Development of Tajikistan's vast renewable energy resources is not only critical for our economic development, but also for the region of Central and South Asia to sustain and to realize their development goals without harming the climate. I would like to extend my gratitude to our development partners, in particular the European Union and partner countries, for their timely support to initiatives on renewable energy resources and energy efficiency, the implementation of which will undoubtedly contribute to the efforts of the international community to achieve the net zero goals by 2050. We in Tajikistan fully support this initiative, and I take this opportunity to announce Tajikistan's accessions to the Global Agreement and Renewable Global Pledge on Renewable Resources and Energy Efficiencies. We are grateful to all your support, and we look forward for working together with all of you to further expand the development of our renewable energy resources. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency, and it's my pleasure now to invite Excellency Tariq Ibrahim, the Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy from Maldives.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening to you all. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and my friends. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the International Renewable Energy Agency for organizing and inviting me to this important meeting. As you are all aware of, the Maldives as a low-lying island nation, heavily reliant on tourism, faces significant challenges from climate change. Rising sea level, extreme temperatures, and shifts in global tourism trends threaten our economy. Additionally, our dependence on imported fossil fuel for energy consumption poses environmental and economic risks. However, challenges by these externalities, we remain committed to a sustainable future. We envision 3 pillars: energy efficiency, renewable energy, and technology innovation. Our goal is to provide sufficient, reliable, sustainable, secure, and affordable energy to the people of Maldives. Maldives depends on fossil fuel to power our economy, and therefore integration of renewable energy presents great opportunities, particularly in the sector such as sea transport, land transport. We envision developing energy efficient fleets and modernizing harbor infrastructure powered by renewable energy. Embracing electrical vehicles and hybrid solar power in our transport sector will drive sustainability. Updating building codes to include rooftop solar panels and EV charging infrastructure will promote energy efficiency. We have already started to update our energy sector roadmaps by aligning it with target to meet 33% of electricity demand through renewable energy within the next 5 years, which was announced by our President, Dr. Mohammad Muiz, during the high-level segment of heads of state and government yesterday at COP28. Hence, roadmap will pave energy access, reduce dependence on import fossil fuels, and pave way for a resilient and environmentally conscious future in the Maldives. The Maldives recognize the urgency of transiting to sustainable energy, and I urge IRENA to facilitate the goals of tripling renewable energy and doubling energy efficiency by 2020. Thank you, and best wishes to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Excellency. And before I invite Excellency Ryan, Minister of... okay. Let me please invite Excellency Eamon Ryan for his words.
I'm very glad for the President of Kenya. He has to go to a meeting, but I wanted to say a few words before you go. I never met the President of Kenya before in my life. I was in Paris at the summit that President Macron organized. I was slouched in my seat, long day, 3 days, and suddenly I heard someone speak in a new and different way, speaking about a way looking forward rather than just looking back, about global solutions to global problems. I went on to Nairobi. I sat right upright in Paris in my seat. In Nairobi, I was standing applauding the framing of this as a climate and development opportunity that we need to rise to. And it seems to me that's exactly the political most important message, for this is the peace project of our time. We will never fight over renewable power. You will never hold a country to ransom, say, if you do not do what we say, we will shoot the solar panel. We can get another one. As Bill McKibben says, the great Bill McKibben, why would we get our energy from hell, from the earth, when we can get it from heaven? That solar power can transform Africa. And the characteristics of solar power, because it's ubiquitous, because it belongs to everyone, is when my neighbor has that energy security, well, that improves my security as well. Africa and Europe are neighbors. And the more we can get those 650 million people with energy access, and the billion people with proper cooking facilities, the more that stabilizes the world for us all. Less conflict, less forced migration, not going into a trade war for climate, which is the last thing we have to do. Ireland is the cloudiest country in the world. We will buy in those solar panels, President Ruto, from Kenya because we can still use them to match our wind. And the real advantage here, we know Irina says the analysis some 4 trillion by early next decade each year we need to spend on the clean energy alternative. And that the developing world, excluding China, not just because China is already succeeding so much, but excluding China, it's some 1.5 trillion a year in the next 10 years. And we know as energy ministers that if you're to build something in 2032, you have to start now. It takes 10 years to get a project from conception to delivery. The attraction of this is we put public money together, so we de-risk the private investment, tackle some of the regulatory, foreign exchange, grid, and skill challenges. And the reason I'd love to buy those solar panels from Kenya is because if you develop in Kenya or in Africa a system where we take the minerals, we process them, we manufacture them, we sell them in Africa and use them, the currency risk disappears. Because from the start to the end of the supply chain, it's in the one currency area. And then we have great security because we know we can share that energy with you and it benefits us all. And that's why I'm very glad to say a few words before you go, President Ruto. What you have done is change the political framing of this, and that's one of the reasons this COP is starting so well. Let's work in the next 12 days to really deliver on the opportunity.